never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. It is a Tuesday, but it's different than all the other Tuesdays because today is actually tax day, since April the 15th was on a Saturday. So if you have not filled out your taxes yet, today is the absolute deadline. I know this is a time of the year that everybody hates, especially if you got to pay back, but today is the deadline. And today here on the channel, I want to talk some college football. It's been a couple of weeks now since I've done a preview of another team and what I think their win-loss record will be as we inch ever so closer to the 2023 college football season. So today we're going to talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And as always, any thoughts on it, please feel free to let me know as we go into year number 2 with their coach, Marcus Freeman. Now, if you recall and think back to this past football season, they went into the season with very high hopes. They were ranked inside the top 10 in most, if not all, of the preseason college football magazines. But then they come out of the gate at 0-2, and they looked pretty bad until about the middle of October. And then the middle of October on, they were actually a pretty doggone good football team. But I got a feeling now that we're in the year number 2 of the Marcus Freeman era, they're not going to come out of the gates slow this year. And their first game of the season, I have not looked at the calendar yet to know for sure, but this has to be the first game of the college football season just by looking at the date that the game is going to be played. It has to be the first game of the season. Sometime in the next day or two, I'm going to try to get on Google and look at the upcoming college football season schedule and see whether or not that's right. But unless there's going to be another game played earlier that day, this has to be the first game of the upcoming college football season. But remember, Notre Dame is independent, but they do have that clause in their contract where they have to play a certain amount of teams from the ACC every year, since they are the ACC in every other sport except for college football. But they open the season this year on August the 26th, which is pretty doggone early for the college football season to start. But they opened up the season with Navy. Now, Navy is one of those schools that Notre Dame plays every single year in football, but that game is normally in early to mid-November. But this year, it's Notre Dame and Navy on August the 26th. And then, moving into September, they play Tennessee State, and then they play NC State. But one thing to look at on Notre Dame's schedule is that since they're opening up on August the 26th, that has to be week number 0, since the following weekend is week number 1. But since they're starting on the 26th of August, they're going to have 2 bye weeks and not just 1. But after NC State, game number 4 on the 16th of September, they play Central Michigan. And then they play the same team they opened up with, I believe, last season, and that is the Ohio State Buckeyes on September the 23rd. And then on the 30th of September, back in the ACC against the Duke Blue Devils. And then moving into October, they play Louisville on October the 7th and USC on October the 14th. And then they have their first bye week sandwiched right in between the USC game, and the following week after the bye week they play Pittsburgh. And then moving into November on the 4th, they play Clemson, and then they have their second bye week. So they play 8 games, have their first bye week, 2 more games, and then they have their second bye week. And then they finish up the season with Wake Forest and Stanford. Now, Navy and USC and Stanford are the 3 teams that they play just about every year. It's just strange seeing Navy be the very first game and USC be game number 8. Typically, they play Navy and USC in November towards the very end of the season, if not the very last games of the season. But most years, they wrap up the season with USC. So they still play those same 3 teams. They play almost every year, just at different times. I believe they played Stanford in October this past year, if I'm not mistaken. But looking over their schedule, unlike most teams, you can't say what they're going to do in conference and overall because they don't have a conference. But I think they're going to go 9-3. I think they're going to lose to Ohio State in game number 5. And I think they're going to lose to USC in game number 8. And I think Clemson gets revenge on them from losing this past year, and they lose to Clemson in game number 11. So I've got Notre Dame going 9-3 with losses to Ohio State, USC, and Clemson. Remember, Wake Forest old quarterback Sam Hartman has transferred to Notre Dame, and this is the first year of new offensive coordinator Gerard Parker. Now, Gerard Parker was on the staff last year. He just was not the offensive play caller. Last year's play caller, Tommy Rees, left to become the new OC at Alabama. So it's the first year of quarterback Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, and it's also the first year of Gerard Parker calling the offensive plays. And of course, we know that Marcus Freeman is a defensive specialist. Again, any thoughts on Notre Dame's schedule, what you think they might do? Please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. A clever barbecue joke is rare. It's got to be well done. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.